I'm very conscious.
You're looking beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah, do I?
You always look beautiful.
Lovely. Excellent.
You look really good close up as well, whereas close up I look a little bit like a knee.
A knee, excellent.
Or an elbow.
Alright guys. Welcome back to another video, guys, and today I'm with my good friend David DeAndrade.
Hello.
Who is a London session guitar player. He MDs the Odyssey band, who are on tour later this year. David, welcome to my little studio.
Thank you very much for having me. It's exceptional in here.
It's small but cute. I like it. So tell me a bit about yourself quickly.
I would say I'm a professional guitar player who exchanges string twiddling for people's money.
Excellent description.
Is the primary role.
Excellent. So David played guitars on my song It Feels Like. Here's a link above so you can hear that full track and watch the lyric video. I think it's that side. Might be that side. I always get this wrong.
No, it's that side. It's this side.
It's as the audience look at it, it's that side, isn't it? Yeah. So how long have you been a professional musician, David?
Well, I stopped studying 8 years ago, so I would say that was the point that I'd probably flew the nest. Yeah.
Right. Did you study? Did you come out of uni playing?
Yeah, I went to the ICMP a million years ago, it feels like now, and graduated and just went straight into gigs. Right. I was really lucky, actually, because when I finished, I'd already slightly gathered enough gigs that meant I didn't have to go home and leave the scene. Yeah. So I managed to sort of claw myself in a bit.
Yeah, that's what I did. By I think my second year of uni, I was gigging 3 times a week and nearly didn't do my third year at uni, but
yeah, me too.
Wanted to keep my mum happy and get her a degree, so that's what I did. So David played on my song It Feels Like. Link on that side.
This side.
And what was your approach to this song guitar-wise? Initially, I gave you the track with a MIDI programmed guitar part, didn't I? Which I'd written on the piano, and I believe that didn't quite translate physically to playing it on the guitar.
Yeah, I sort of approached it in that I knew you're not a guitar player, so what I got from that was taking from it what you wanted its role to be rather than what it exactly was that you'd composed. So when I listened to it, I thought, right, he needs this kind of vibe, and if you've booked a guitar player to come and do the session, then it's up to me to maybe humanise it. Is how I approach that. Right.
Yeah. Interesting. So the initial guitar part was.
Oh, I like the raspy delay you got going on there.
Screaming delays. I like that part, and I might use that for another song. However, David came up with a better part on the track. Definitely got more groove and more feel.
But your kind of brief was Killersy, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why I sort of thought broken chords.
Yeah, this was Killer's Coldplay influenced song for sure. So sound-wise, let's talk about the sound we got on this guitar. So David uses Victory amps. What model amp do you use?
I got the V140, which is the Super Duchess. It's 100 watts of clean power. It's wicked, especially for this kind of thing. And the cab I used on this session I don't have anymore, but it was their upright open back 212 with cream backs in it.
Okay.
Which actually for this is perfect.
Why is it perfect? What makes that cab perfect?
Because it's got a bit of a looseness in the low mids and lows. It's very open sounding. Like for this kind of sound, that is exactly what I would want. I found I changed the cab when I came to play live because I found it didn't quite work with some other bits I was doing. But for this, it was the cab to have. Right.
And we used, if I'm right, an Aston Origin on this, a Sennheiser 421, a Sennheiser E906, and a SE440 microphone. We had 4 mics on this. I seem to remember having the Aston behind the cab.
Well, it was recording it was Gaz's studio, wasn't it?
Gaz Twist's studio.
And he's got quite a unique setup in that I actually thought it worked with the sound, but the cab was set up perpendicular to a mirrored wall.
which shouldn't normally.
It shouldn't normally work, but so the sound coming out of the back of the amp immediately hit this mirror and kind of gave it a real shimmer. You can definitely hear it in the room.
Yeah, so let's listen to those individually. I'm just going to boost that for now. So this is the 421 on its own.
Nice and big round in the mids.
This is the Sennheiser E906. Now, I much prefer the 421
straight out the box, yeah. So yeah, the 906 is on the bottom speaker a lot closer to the edge of the cone. So that's why you're getting all that throat that you'd never, to be honest, for me, I'd never use a mic in that position on its own, but as part of a sort of combination, you can really get the best of both. But
as a group, because I would possibly move it slightly off center to get a bit more clarity in top end. Would that be right?
Yeah, my favourite is, if you can imagine the voice cord of the cone, so the dust cap of the cone is like there. I would always place the mic so that the diaphragm of the mic slightly straddles the dust cap and the cone.
Yeah.
It's for live because you kind of get a bit of both. But when you're doing this, you want to arguably the whole approach to the mic is you want to hear as much of the cone as possible. Because when you're in the room, you hear the whole thing. Whereas when you're only an inch away from the speaker, and you want to hear as much as the whole context as possible.
So to get more of an ambient sound, we had an SE4400 about a metre in front of the cab. That sounds like this.
And I'm not just talking rubbish here, I don't think. Maybe just because I know the cab. You can hear that it's the mirrored wall behind it on that in the room.
Right, that takes an expert here.
No, it's just the way that there's a real upper harmonic kind of... Rattle's the wrong word, but I think you can hear it. I mean, I'm going to be called out on that, but I reckon if you put it in front of like a wood wall, the room wouldn't sound like that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, every...
You can edit that out,
every studio has a sonic note. So then we had, as you can see from the picture, we had the Aston Origin behind the cab. I guess to get the low end.
Well, theoretically, yeah, but again, because it was in front of a mirrored wall, I don't know how this sounds on its own, actually. I'd be really interested. Because it was... Yeah.
Loads of low end there.
That's because one thing I found with that cab is what you're hearing there, because it's completely off axis to any speaker. So if the cab is upright, and the wall is here, I'm trying to do that for the camera, the mic is here, as displayed in the picture. You can do a circle around the mic, can't you? So you're actually hearing the wood of the cab vibrate there. That's the predominant sound in that. You're hearing the cab go. It'd be like listening to an acoustic guitar from the back of it. You'd hear all the of the wood.
Yeah.
Rather than the strings. That's what you're hearing there.
A bit like listening to a drum from the side.
Absolutely.
Some people do mic snare drums, mic in the shell.
Yeah?
Which, I've tried it. It doesn't add anything in my opinion. But...
Okay.
So with 4 microphones on the cab, I wanted to pan these slightly just to give a thicker, broader image. And I've balanced them with my favourite microphone, loudest, which is the 421.
Fair play, because that's my favourite as well.
Slightly to the right. No, I can't remember why.
Yeah, what I'm really interested in here is out of the quartet of mics, what has led you to pan some in some places and others? So why would you have the 906, at 2 o'clock and the 421 less so?
My decision behind that was I wanted the lead guitar sound not to be down the middle.
Okay.
Because I wanted the chords, the full chord rhythm parts, which are straight down the middle. So I wanted the lead guitar slightly off center. So my preferred mic is panned right plus 12 points. So there's a little bit of the 440 panned to the far left just to give it some girth. And then the Origin quite low in the mix all the way to the right. But let's add those in and see how they sound. You listeners or watchers aren't probably going to get the stereo pan because I'm recording on a mono mic here, but you'll get the idea of the textures, the sounds come in. So the most of it is the 421 mic. I think that sounded the best. Now,
the biggest difference for me is when you put the origin in. For that, you get the warm.
So I've put an SSL channel strip on this, as you can see, and I've got my own little preset called David's Guitar that I've created.
I feel very flattered.
And there's a fair bit of compression on that. There's no gate, a bit of extra top end. What's that? 3 and a bit K. A little bit more again, a bit further up at 4K, and lots of lows taken out at about 250. So I would have gone through each one of these microphones and done its own EQ with the idea that the Sennheiser 421 mic is going to be primary in the mix, so that's going to have the main bunch of frequencies that I like out of the guitar, and then the others were just shaped to model it a bit more. So let's listen to the 609 in the mix. What have we done on that channel?
906.
That's the one. So I've just used a generic preset on that. I think I would have tweaked it a little bit. Let's hear all these with the SSL channel strips on. Ooh, now here, on the 440, I've had a bit of reverb. Let's hear that with the SSL without reverb.
Right, yeah.
Ooh. Just add a bit of distance.
Add a bit of space, mate.
Bit of space in the design. And I did the same with the Origin SSL. I think this would have been to clear up the sound a bit and take away from lows. A little bit, yep. And without. Yeah.
You took out that real, like, ooh.
Yeah, that's taking a lot of 200 out there to clean that up. Added some Space Designer reverb. Generic preset.
Bit of shimmer on that as well.
Yeah, so that's a stereo pan, almost to give it some distance with the reverb. Nice.
Yeah.
So that's the intro guitars. Underneath that, we had rhythm guitars going, and I've just used mostly the 421 and the 906. I don't think I like the 440 or the Origin sound.
Yeah, I mean because that'll be because these have got actual open chords and things, isn't it? So it's even more lows in the actual part.
Yeah.
That are going to be.
So we tracked one lot, panned them one way, tracked another lot, panned them the other way. Now I've not panned them all the way to the left here. That's at -50. I've just changed that. Oops. And somewhere in between to give 2 points of sonic context. I've done the same on the other side.
And how do you when you're mixing your stereo imaging? Are you doing that just on monitors? Are you doing it on headphones? Do you compare? How do you approach that?
This was just on monitors, yeah.
Well, okay, cool.
And rhythm part doubled. This just following the chords that the organs are doing as well. Much less compression on these. Yeah, nice.
That guitar's wicked. It's not this one.
No, this was your John Mayer Silver Sky.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful guitar.
For this sort of the in-between saturated edge of breakup sounds, all of that, it's...
Edge of breakup?
Yeah, you know when it's not quite clean, it's just got that rasp on it.
Right.
Which that isn't, that's a bit more than that, but yeah, edge of breakup it's called. It's not relationship advice, it's just sound.
So all together, the intro guitars and the riff sounds like this on its own.
The end of the intro, yeah, the intro part is slightly different to all the other choruses because I remember that was definitely your call. You wanted that phrase to come in a little earlier to give space for then the vocal to come in. Whereas in the choruses, it all ends where it would naturally end, maybe.
Yep, that was a production idea to make sense to me, just to give it space before the vocals come in, and that part I believe was on the piano part that I programmed.
That.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you copied that one quite nicely. First verse, there are no guitars. Then you come in for the bridge, don't you? With the
I think that's
save yourself right now.
Do 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 do. Is this the
Days come by.
Yeah.
That's my
With
favourite
this.
part on the track.
This is great. Oh. And then guitar part wise, in the chorus, just similar to the intro, I
That's
believe,
intro, yeah.
with the riff. Nice. Moving on to verse 2, I believe. Nice little guitar part in the background.
Leading us to the breakdown.
I forgot about that.
Very low in the mix.
Is
Very
it?
low in the mix.
Yeah, because we were going for a slight, almost sequencer part. Like you could use a keyboard
Yeah.
sequencer for
Well, the
that.
piano was going full on at this point. So just something to add to that groove. Now, one of my favourite parts in this song is the second guitar part that you come up with here. Oh, it just grooves. Just really grooves that when it comes in. Let's have a listen to the whole track.
Can I hear that soloed with that?
Of course you can.
I am imprisoned by the ghosts of days.
Nice. Really
I
tasty
do
little
really
guitar
like
part,
the.
that. Yeah. And then we went into, there's a verse, there's another chorus there. And this is the part you came up with when we were at your house running ideas. We didn't do this on the day in the studio, but you had this crazy telephone effect. Talk us through your
Oh, this is
setup
a
in
sound I
Pro
made.
Tools
Yeah,
LE.
a sound I made in Guitar Rig 5 for this, because you were after like a anarchy type, and you've got that marching band.
The rolling snare drum part.
Yeah, which doesn't leave a lot of room for what I would call a traditional guitar part.
Yeah.
So I programmed a position on a Digitech whammy on the software, so you can link it to the tempo, so it's tempo mapped. So it went. I called the sound bouncing fifths. So it goes root 5 octave up 5 and down again, but linked to the tempo.
Okay, right.
That's not a particularly clear explanation, but you'll hear it. Yeah, I mean, on its own, it sounds horrible. But that's sort of the point, because you've bedded it into the track, and I think it just adds some of that anarchy, really.
And what do we have here? This would be at the end of the bridge. That's a chord running over into the breakdown, which leads us to the best part of the song, where we've got the organs going. There's a vocal part. I don't know where that vocal part came from, but I just had this.
It's quite old school Peter Gabriel, that.
Right.
It's that falsetto in the distancy vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but then talk me through this guitar solo, because this is just one of my favourite things I've ever heard.
Oh, that's very kind. I mean, in terms of, what do you mean? Where the melody came from?
Yeah.
We were just, if I recall, on the session, this is the bit that you sort of, whilst you and Gaz were cabling up and doing all, getting the mics all sorted, this was just on in the control room where I was sat, and I was just having a bit of a noodle. It was something like that, wasn't it? And you were like, "What's that?" And it stemmed out of that.
Yeah, probably, because that's how we've worked.
That's how it, yeah. If I'm honest, I don't think it was ever going to be a conscious part that I thought it would definitely get in. It was just more of a noodle that then you overheard and said, "We'll have that." Which I think some of the best ideas come out that way, though.
Yeah, it's a very delicate moment in the song. Let's listen to it.
And you hear that part hanging over. Woo, 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 woo. And this was definitely in position 4 on the silver scale.
I really like what the bass is doing there as well. We gotta talk about that bit.
Is that the click?
That is the click.
I don't know how this happened.
I don't know how this happened either.
Because apparently...
Let's listen to this, because this is brilliant.
Now, but that's impossible, because we were listening to some click in the control room. The control room's separate, and bear in mind, whilst that part sounds delicate, that was a 100 watt amp at nearly full chat. So if you were to put your ear next to the cab, you wouldn't be hearing no click.
Yeah, now when I got this back home to mix and I heard the click, I just thought, oh, no, this can't be happening, because this is, we'd spent a day doing this. This is my favourite bit of the song. But in context, I didn't mind the click. I can't remember why. It just, there's almost something human about it being a mistake.
Yeah, and also until now, no one knows that it wasn't a conscious decision. So, you know, call it creative.
Oh, and the organs sound great there as well. And then full beans, David DeAndre.
Yeah, and that doesn't sound like position 4 at all to me, but it is. I know it is, because I know you'll hear the difference in sound. The outro solo that we'll get to is the first point in the song that I played on a single pickup.
So talking about the outro solo, we picked up the idea that was that you came up with in the breakdown, that
A re-reference,
like
yeah.
a revamp, a reprise. That's what it is.
That's
When
exactly
they do
what
it at
it
the
is.
end of an album.
John Mayer calls it a thanks for listening. He puts a little new tag or a melody line at the end of a tune, and he calls it a thanks for listening.
Right.
And you'll hear it in a lot of his songs. He'll put like a new motif or a slightly reworked version of an old one.
Right, okay.
And that's his thanks for listening.
Nice.
If you get that far.
So on the original Logic session I had for this track, I think it just goes back to that MIDI program guitar part we had at the intro to end on to reference the intro of the song. But we scrapped that, and then you decided to reference the mid-late guitar solo. Lovely.
Well, I think we both decided that part was nice, and it was a nice feature
to not have
it come in again.
Definitely more gain there. And
Ham-fisted end.
Now, on the original demo of this, I had slightly ripped off the Terminator theme, and we were going to end on...
I was not expecting that.
Do you not remember? We had this discussion, because it was going to end on... I think I've got it in the original MIDI.
On the 4?
And you and Gaz hated it.
Yeah, that makes me want to rip out my own face. I remember, and we tried tracking it, didn't we? It was like...
I really like it. Let's listen to that whole thing in context.
I hope people comment that they agree with me, but that scares me.
Why? Because it's a Terminator.
It's just, yeah.
I thought it sounded great, but then I wasn't writing as a guitarist.
You just reminded me that you didn't let me put a 9 chord in the bridge either.
No, again.
And that was one thing Gaz was like, yes!
Yeah, that's
like,
the best
no.
bit of the song. I was like, no, because it ruins, it changes the mood of that section.
Takes it from sexy to sensual.
But I felt like it changed the mood. What are your thoughts listening back to the track now that it's finished, mixed? Do you like the guitar sound?
I really like what you've done in that so many people, when mixing guitars, I think over mix and they take too much stuff out or try and put too much stuff in. And for my taste, I really like what you've done with them because you've essentially cleaned up any imperfections in the mics. But it's as your EQ is more to enhance how the guitar already sounds rather than change how it sounds.
Oh, I was never going to change how it sounds because it was all played beautifully through a beautiful guitar, beautiful set of pedals, and a beautiful Victory amp.
What?
So I was never going to change the sound, and that was the whole point of getting you as a player on the track, and also the guitar in the studio, was to have that sound and to encapsulate that. And my mixing of guitars and getting guitar sounds using modulation software in Logic isn't my strong point. I'm not a big fan of it. You've got the keen ear for getting an awesome guitar sound, evidently. So that didn't take much. I mean, there's just a bit of EQ to clean up each microphone.
Yeah.
And to get the microphones, the 4 microphones, to sit together. And then to get them to sit in the mix with the rhythm guitar parts. The organs, I didn't really need to do much to them because they had such a distinct sonic character as well.
I mean, the fact that you went and recorded an actual organ is great because so many people just pull up a plug-in.
Yeah, I mean, I did end up using a bit of the MIDI organs, partly because we recorded 3 registers on the organ, and the top register, there was an F sharp or something massively sharp, and it
Ultimate analog, mate.
Oh, it sounds. I got home and I had that moment of, I can't use this because it doesn't work, and I thought I just had to pay the session guy, hire the church, and I didn't think I could use it. But then there's a dissonance to it that I just love.
Yeah.
So as you can see here, that's the intro actually that I've ended up scrapping, and annoyingly I've just remembered I've uploaded to Spotify without the intro in, which I'm devastated about.
What? So you've done?
So
the lyric video has no keys intro.
No, the lyric video goes from here when you come in with the
and
guitar.
that's what you've uploaded to Spotify.
And stupidly, that's what I've uploaded to Spotify.
Wow! But just when you release the director's cut, put it back in.
Which is a shame because going to the beginning. Sounds wicked.
Is that programmed?
Yeah, that's just a programmed drum part.
Hello.
Oh, that's interesting with your guitar parts on it as well. Let's turn them off. Those are the guitar parts soloed on this track and how we've got the sounds. Let me know if you have any more questions below, and off camera I can ask David and we can maybe discuss them. The guitars were easy to mix on this though. Bass was easy as well. Ghost did a good job on that. A bit of compression, and I think he used an amp modeler on the bass. Didn't need any quantizing or anything. It was just away we went. And
no fixing it in the mix, mate.
Yeah, that's what I want to avoid on this album.
There's not really any comped takes there either, is there?
There's loads on the drums because I'm not very good. But no, not on the guitars, no. It was just pretty much the last take of every guitar part.
Yeah, it was essentially...
Guitar wizard.
Not really. Can I do the thing?
Yeah. Are we at the end of the video? So that's a detailed overview of how we got the guitar parts and sounds on this recording. If you've liked this, please hit subscribe, hit that bell notification so you don't miss more episodes. There's a few more videos coming talking about how this song came about. If you want to learn how I've mixed and processed the drums, click this video above. If you want to learn about what we did with the bass, how we created the bass parts and mixed those and recorded those at Ghost Home Studio, click on this link above. And...
can I do it now?
You'll see me, and maybe David. David's played on another one of my tracks, so you will definitely be seeing him again. And that's the end of the video. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Yes! Let's do one more just for good measure.
I don't need to do the noise, do I?
Should we do it together, both hands in?
No, let's do it.
Yeah. Which hand are you going for?
I was going to go for this
You're going to go for this? Your hands are bigger than mine. So, but if mine are closer to the camera,
okay.
each perspective would be the same.
That you have an unnerving...
Excellent. We'll see you soon, guys.
make sure I don't look like a greasy old balding bastard. Don't put that in.
That's definitely an outtake.
Yeah, no, it is.
In the zone. Well, no. I'm more self-conscious doing this with you here.
Why?
I don't know.
You're really good at
weird.
this, and
I suck at this. It's horrible.
No, but your videos are great. I feel like this is torture. I've got to sit here
Right.
and be interesting.
Right, I'll put my.
Do you want to do the intro without me, and then cut to me being here?
No.
Oh, that would have been better for me.
Right.
The biggest influence for me in terms of session approach, in terms of albums, probably would be Shania Twain's "Come On Over."
Right. Yeah.
Bit left field, bit weird,
No, that's
but the guitars on that are some of the
Everyone
best
that's fucking
parts,
phenomenal.
and the way they're recorded and the way they all sit, and there's so much roots in there, like rock, blues, country, but it's a pop record. It's so good, that album.
Yeah. So how long have you been a professional musician, David?
I don't know.
It's not good.
I get really dry lips. I keep
Yeah,
licking
same,
my lips. Am I going to be in this video all the way through just licking my lips?
Oh, I pull some horrendous faces. It's brilliant.
Can you edit anything where I look like a mug out?
Well, not all of it.